Now, there is a lot of information and misinformation about online presence. It has its own advantages and disadvantages, but it really depends on your personality and your mindset around what is available to us. Now, what is a healthy clout chasing mindset, you may ask? I've been asking this question to myself for like over a year now. I've read a lot of books. I've listened to all the experts and people who have come out from working in a tech company and talking about how they design certain applications to make you become addictive to those apps or games or whatever. This video is the answer to all of these questions and why I choose to still seek online presence, and I hope it's relatable to you too. Now, to understand the nature of being addictive to something, you have to learn more about our brain and the neurochemistry that is affecting the neurotransmitters in our brain. I know it is a bit nerdy, but it's important to know that. There's this one video on YouTube that stood out the most for me because it was so simplified and clear for an amateur like me to understand the science behind addiction. It was a TED Talk given by Dr. Nora Volkow. So Nora has worked with people with substance abuse and also people who are battling food addiction that leads to obesity. In both of these cases, she has found that there's a significant reduction in something called D2 receptors. We'll get to what it is in a bit. Before that, you have to understand how our brain works. So apparently our brain is designed based on a reward system. Every time you see or think of a potential reward, in case of food addiction, it could be a picture of a delicious food or a snack. It activates the reward regions in your brain and motivates you to go and consume that food. Now, once you consume a plate of delicious food that was activated by your reward regions, maybe you were craving pizza and you went ahead and you ordered a pizza and you ate the pizza. Now, what makes certain individual to overcome that satisfaction of having a pizza but wanting more, wanting to eat more? There are a lot of influences that can lead to addiction, and certain influences are out of our control, like genetics or hereditary, upbringing, the life experiences you went through, the influences through that life experiences. But she also thinks that a dynamic change in the environment could also have created certain difficulty in certain people to control the urge to have unhealthy food and choose to live a short life. It makes sense because our environment is filled with unhealthy food that is so convenient to go and buy, and it is marketed as this most delicious thing you would have ever tasted. All these kind of temptations is very hard to contain. Some may argue that, well, that's just a bad habit. To eat a bar of chocolate after having a pizza is just a bad habit. Well, that's where this reduction of D2 receptors comes as evidence, because when she compared the brain of someone of a food addiction and someone who went through substance abuse, there's a similarity. In both the brain, there is a reduction of these D2 receptors. These receptors help to regulate the frontal areas of our brain, which are responsible to exert self-control, which makes sense. So less the D2 receptors, the more compulsive or impulsive behaviors you'll tend to have. Okay, now we understand addiction in terms of all these neuroscientific way, am I right? So kind of, if not completely, we kind of get the picture. Now let's move on to the subject of popularity. What sort of motivation is behind seeking such level of popularity or likability in social media, you may ask? I read this book called Popularity by Mitch Prinstein, or Prinstein. I hope I'm saying it right. So in that book, he mentioned something called social rewards. These are the rewards that are social in nature, such as recognition or getting approval from others. For example, you may go to wish someone a happy birthday in person, give them a hug and a kiss and say, hey, happy birthday, and you get some sort of feedback from them, and that makes you feel good. Those are the social reward in your brain getting activated. It is motivating you to go see that person and wish them a happy birthday, and you have that feel good factor about yourself. Now, with social media, your efforts are just the same, but your feedback or your reward is extended to much more potential. As you go to that person's house, you give them a hug, you take a picture and you post it online. Now suddenly it's not recognized by that person and their family alone, it's getting recognized by all the people who follow you on social media, your family, your friends, your coworker. Now what happens is your brain is like, oh, we just hit a lottery now and let's keep doing this. Initially, this seemed harmless because we use this platform to communicate with your family, your friends, and letting people know in your own circle what you're up to. But soon enough, people within the same social circle started to compete for high status in likability, meaning who likes who the most. Now think about it. This existed even before social media. Remember that neighbor who would watch your Christmas decoration in the front lawn and want to outdo that in his front lawn with his decoration? Yeah, this existed way before social media. But this is consuming more time of your life because it is giving you feedback real time in your phone all day, every day. Now that is the difference between how it used to be before and how it is now. The behavior was there before and now, but the intensity is a lot more and it's getting out of control. Now let's take a few steps back in order to understand how we value or perceive our self-worth. I want you to imagine an 18-year-old boy who has never seen himself in the front of a mirror, so he doesn't know how he looks, and he's just walking around an empty space. Now he comes across two other 18-year-old boys and they say, hey, you're actually taller than us. So now there's this birth of a characteristic. Right? Now he has, oh, I'm actually a tall person. This is good because this is how humans communicate and understand our differences and work as a team in order to survive. Now, what if an emotion intervenes? An emotion such as jealousy or ego. What would that conversation be like? It'd be like, hey, you're way too taller than us. You cannot come with us. Go find some other group, okay? Good luck with that. Now that's not a good attitude, is it? Now this kind of feedback can be very make it or break it situation for someone who doesn't have enough self-confidence. And that's what is happening in social media. Our perception of self-worth is depending on how other people perceive us, and we try to reflect that back to them, which is kind of our nature, but also it's good to train our mind to recognize what is the truth and what is the perception. I had to protect myself from feedback that are influenced by such toxic emotions. In spite of seeing all these disadvantages of seeking online presence, I just had this craving for likability and wanting to do something in social media. So I was going through this phase of cognitive resonance. I was kind of posting stuff online, but I was also not sure if it is good for me. I had to sit down and have a talk to myself. Personally, I think having this feeling is a good thing. Seeking good attention can make me or motivate me to be more efficient in anything I do. Here's a concept that I came up with. I think that we live in two parallel societies. The society that is right outside my door, and there's the society that is living on my smartphone. Now, Instagram is a society, Facebook is a society, and YouTube is a society. And there's real people. I know it's online, but there are real people living and breathing in that society. And there are real communities within these societies. Once I accepted this, I started to see things differently. I started to see the correlation between what happens in real life and what happens in online life. Now think about this. There's a society, a community, and there's like different streets, right? There's a street full of musicians who want to make good music on YouTube. And you'll see two neighbors having a good time, collaborating, having a barbecue party. Great. And then you'll see these other two neighbors who just can't stop fighting with each other and creating chaos in the community. This happens in real life too, but it happens more on the online platform because we haven't taught ourselves how to behave as a good citizen online. It's becoming a real network, and I think I have to take a responsibility to understand how these communities work and learn to develop new social skills, basically. Another significant realization that I had is that I don't want to please every single person living in every single community in this society. I just want to navigate to the right people who would value the same interests that I have. Now, being supportive to the people in my community by liking, tweeting, or sharing their stuff, or just buying their products, I don't see that as an addiction or a bad influence or behavior. I see that as my way of encouraging them to do what they want to do. Imagine a kid is celebrating his high school graduation, right? We all cheer and encourage them. It's the same when a YouTuber is getting a silver play button. It's his way of saying, hey, look, I graduated in this community. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, as soon as you see this correlation between what's happening online and what's happening in real life, the only difference is the scale. But I feel the psychology and the behavior, the intention is still the same if you really think about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of business models that is designed based on who gets the most attention, and people tend to do certain things that is not very particularly interesting for them just to keep on the trending page, and so that more business people would approach them. I understand that issue, but I think I recognize it. I have learned to pay more attention to what I want to do and stick to my community, if that makes sense. Essentially, a diet plan for our health on the internet, and also to keep our focus on recognition rather than attention. So my advice is that as long as you're seeking clout in a healthy community, it's absolutely okay to desire and want to be an online influencer. I took an interest in the science behind our behavior and mind and anything to do with it just over a year ago, and I'm already seeing the difference in my attitude towards life by cutting through all these unnecessary noise and seeing the reality more clearly. I want to use this YouTube channel as an outlet to show you that by learning, somebody who has no background in any sort of medical experience or in psychology or anything, by just reading and listening to podcasts and learning from the internet, I have applied that to my life, and I see a lot of difference, and I want to share that through this YouTube channel and community and have a discussion about things. Now, my goal is to create a network of mentally mature and stable online citizens, because you just gotta keep living, you know? You just gotta keep living, man. Livin. I don't know which movie that's from, but I keep saying it. Now, I hope this helps you understand my intention behind clout chasing in this YouTube community. I want to reach out to people who are just like me, interested in neuroscience, artificial intelligence, psychology, and have good discussion and give each other feedback and support each other to grow and keep learning, because that's what we gotta do, right? We just have to live and learn. I don't know what else to say, really. I hope I made a point. If not, let me know. I'll make another video to explain or elaborate anything that didn't make sense. Well, until then, see you soon. Bye.